There's something where I always just forget about Facebook. Like I feel like I use it for like my personal, like my friends and family, but then like I have a Facebook page, but I need to be better about Facebook because Facebook monetization is actually very, very good. I'm just very bad at it.
That's interesting because I still need to hack the Facebook monetization things side of things because my last check from Facebook was a whole $12. Yeah,
What are you
so
gonna do? Want maybe
I
like
don't
a,
know. Like I was thinking of spending on
a
on a bottle of water in LA because that's how
yeah,
much they cost, right?
yeah. It's pretty much. I
I
know.
was
Well,
gonna
so the
say,
thing, yeah, the thing about Facebook is it's like you need to fit Facebook's algorithm. So I think
yeah,
that's why I never got into it. Cause I was like, oh, this is content where I'm like, it's honestly like you need to dedicate just to that. And I think
yeah.
you have to hit like the 3 minute video mark. And it's just like a whole thing where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this right now, but it's good to know that that's definitely an option. And then Twitter also, I've had Twitter monetization for a little bit now too on videos, which has been really nice. And Instagram, I've had a surprisingly a lot of brand deals that were just Instagram.
Yeah.
That's always easier to make for because it's like, okay, if you're just doing like cool photos and videos. But let me tell you what, there's something about making Instagram stories when they're sponsored is actually a lot more work
It
than I
is.
thought.
It is. Yeah. There's so much like that's something that a lot of people don't realize, but there's so much to it that you have to like. Plus, because it's such a short space of time as well, you have to think about it a lot more as well.
Yeah, and then you have to do like the tags and then you send it to the brand and they're like, okay, great. And then when you post it, you have to post the original, but you have to like copy exactly what you sent to them for approval. And then there's like the branded partner tool, which like never works. And then you're like, hey, you have to approve me. And then you have to wait. And it's just, I feel like there's been times I've spent, the same amount of time I would to make a YouTube video to make 3 Instagram stories. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I so bad at this?
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle, but it's nice to have different options and having lots of different platforms to post to as well. Building up that following on all these platforms as well. You mentioned monetization on Twitter. That's something that's pretty exclusive, right? Because I mean I don't have it.
I think so. Yeah. I think
How
it's,
how
I
did
think it's,
how did
I
that
think
come
it might
about?
be
Can you tell
special.
us? Can you not?
I honestly, I have no idea. I think my manager might just, know some people. I was just very lucky to get in pretty early on. I think it was still when it was like being like tested, but there are some pretty, like strict guidelines. Like you can't, like take content from other places and share it there. It has to be your own
Okay.
content. So it's definitely pretty strict. So I've been trying to not like make them mad. I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow all the guidelines just as I
Yeah.
should. But
Yeah.
it's funny because people are like, "Ugh, I had to watch an ad before this." I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, thank you,
Hey,
but
it's
sorry.
I mean, you're getting to see free content, so if there's an ad, then there's an ad. That's the thing.
There's been times where I've actually made more money from a tweet with like a 15 to 20-second video of like one of my bigger YouTube videos. I've made more money from Twitter than I did on AdSense from that larger video. I'm like,
Really,
that hurts my heart because I spent days doing this. Yeah.
uh, this is the thing. It's just like the online social media world is so like there's just so much variety there, and it's a minefield. You just don't know what's going to work, what's not going to work, which platform it's going to work on better. Because sometimes I posted the exact same thing on Instagram, and then I've posted that same thing on Facebook, and it's blown up on Facebook and got millions of
Yeah.
views. So it's just weird. You just don't know what's going to work and where it's going to work.
I just remembered that IGTV now has monetization.
Yes, it
I
does.
forgot. I forgot about
It
that.
does.
I can't
Okay.
keep up. There's too much. There's
There's
just
too
way too
much, and
much.
obviously there's only one of you, so
I
you can only do
know.
so much.
Probably a good thing because I can't
Yeah.
imagine if there was multiples of me. Yeah, there's so much, but I think that's also the important thing about like people who maybe do want to get into creation who are only focused on maybe one platform. Like you need to expand because at any day, any of these platforms could go away. I mean, I doubt YouTube is going to go away, but I mean, look what happened to Vine. Like anything can happen. So to have that diversity is very, very important until not only to be dependent on one revenue stream because it could go away.
100%, and not only about like YouTube going away, but like you don't know what the algorithm's going to do next. You don't know what monetization is going to be like, because I remember when a lot of the family channels got
Yeah.
demonetized overnight, and they just kind of completely lost their income overnight because YouTube was everything for them, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
true. And especially when YouTube started to kind of crack down on like channels that would like maybe swear and stuff like that. That's where I was like, oh my gosh, I am so thankful that I have been family friendly my entire life. I am here. It has paid off. So yeah, you really don't know. And I think that's the one thing where I'm like, okay, cool. I'm glad I've kept my content. You know, maybe it's been a little boring because it has been family friendly, but just having that consistency also has led to, you know, these working with these brands who maybe, you know, might not have happened if I did things differently in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things that I've always kind of stuck by as well is not to swear or, you know, not putting any sort of graphic content on my channel. But that's been something that I've been doing from the start, because I know, like, you know, my nieces and nephews sometimes will watch some of my videos and I'm like, I don't want to be setting a bad example. But I think that kind of really did pay off, especially because it was just like, okay, you know, maybe your content wasn't as edgy, or, you know, you said it was boring. I wouldn't say it's boring, but, you know, maybe it's not as funny as it could be, but at the same time everybody can view it, and brands love that as well. And this is something I always advise. I mean, I'm sure there is definitely a market out there for that as well, for, you know, swearing, etc. But generally, if you want to have longer term relationships with brands, then, you know, it's best to keep your channel, your profile relatively family friendly.
For sure, too. And, you know, when I started, my audience was a lot younger, and they were like, you know, mostly younger females. I'm like, okay, I wouldn't want like my child to be watching this. Like, and I would like to be like a respectable, you know, I guess adult now. So yeah, I was in the same boat. I'm like, I don't want people to think that I'm like mean or terrible or a bad role model, because that's not who I am. But, you know, I mean, sometimes off camera, you know, I say adult words. It happens.
You do.
Can you believe it?
You've just been exposed.
I know. I have exposed myself. I did it.
You're gonna lose subscribers, man.
No.
I hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want to hear the full podcast episode, then that will be linked down below. And if you want to see more clips like this, then be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss them. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf Speaks, and I'll see you next time.